A fresh legal trouble is mounting for former U.S. President Donald Trump in court today as a civil fraud trial against him and members of his family gets underway in New York. The case casts major aspersions of fraud on Trump's business empire, and this even as he campaigns to retake the White House with 4 criminal cases looming. In today's case, Donald Trump, who appeared in a New York City courtroom, Trump and his family business are facing trial to determine how much they owe in penalties after Judge Arthur Engoron found the former U.S. president's assets were inflated by billions of dollars to secure more favorable loan and insurance terms.
This is a continuation of the single greatest witch hunt of all time. We have a rogue judge who rules that properties are worth a tiny fraction, 1/100th, a tiny fraction of what they actually are. Just so you know, my financial statements are phenomenal. They are actually less in terms of the numbers used than the actual net worth. The actual net worth is substantially more. No bank was affected, no bank was hurt. They don't even know why they have to be involved.
Trump, the frontrunner in the 2024 Republican presidential nomination, is accused by New York Attorney General Letitia James of inflating the value of his assets by billions of dollars to secure better loan and insurance rates.
Good morning, everyone. Donald Trump and the other defendants have committed persistent and repeated fraud. Last week, we proved that in our motion for summary judgment. Today, we will prove our other claims. My message is simple. No matter how powerful you are, no matter how much money you think you may have, no one is above the law. And it is my responsibility and my duty and my job to enforce it. The law is both powerful and fragile. And today in court, we will prove our case. I thank you all for being here. And again, justice will prevail. Thank you.
James is seeking at least $250 million in fines, a permanent ban against Trump and his sons Donald Jr. and Eric from running businesses in New York, and a 5-year restriction on commercial real estate activities by Trump and his flagship Trump Organization. On the other hand, Trump has repeatedly dismissed the New York civil allegations, calling James a racist and labeling Engoron deranged. Trump attended the court hearing in person at the Manhattan court to hear Letitia James set out her case.
So very simply put, it's a witch hunt, it's a disgrace. We have a corrupt attorney general in this state. You see how she does? This trial was railroaded and fast-tracked. This trial could have been brought years ago, but they waited till I was right in the middle of my campaign. The same with other trials and indictments. It's all run by DOJ, which is corrupt in Washington.
In addition to this civil case, Trump also faces several major criminal proceedings in the months ahead. He's scheduled to appear before a federal judge in Washington on March 4th on charges of trying to overthrow the results of the 2020 presidential election won by Joe Biden. After that, Trump will be back in New York State Court, this time on criminal hush money charges, and later in a Florida federal court where he's accused of mishandling classified documents after leaving office. Finally, he will also have to answer to state charges in Georgia, where prosecutors say Trump illegally tried to get the southern state's 2020 election results changed in his favor. And for more updates on this, our correspondent Susan Teherani is now joining us live outside the courts in New York. Susan, good to see you. What is at stake in this case for Donald Trump, his son, and his business empire?
Yeah, Eric, as you mentioned, this is a case that has already been ruled on by the judge. So many are wondering why Donald Trump is in court today on trial. One of the reasons for that is what the punishment will be. Also, the judge is expected to decide on 6 other claims: falsifying business records, conspiracy to falsify business records, issuing false financial statements, conspiracy to falsify financial statements, insurance fraud conspiracy to commit insurance fraud. And what's at stake is really, first of all, not only the fact that whether or not Donald Trump and Trump Tower, his enterprise and empire, can operate here in New York, but Donald Trump, in those opening statements that he was giving, which was very political, really was sensitive about the devaluation of his business in general, notably his home in Florida, Mar-a-Lago, but also his businesses here as well. There is one caveat about this. While Letitia James is asking for $250 million in fines, it's important to note that everyone watched Donald Trump's opening statement on all platforms. And what may be clear, and this is New York, it's the business capital of the world, it's the financial capital of the world. Business enterprises come here to work. What may be at stake also for Letitia James and the state of New York and this judge is what message this sends to other enterprises and corporations and businesses. Does it mean that only if you're a Democrat, you're safe to work here? Or does it mean that this city is open for all? Notably, because of the high crime rate, also a lot of businesses have been leaving. So what's at stake is not only for Donald Trump, but also for the state of New York and how Letitia James and this judge is going to rule on Donald Trump. It's also very political, as you know.
Susan Tehrani, Letitia James and also Donald Trump are both at loggerheads. How is that going to pan out in the coming months?
Well, we've seen that one trial after the other, with one indictment after the other, the president has gained a lot of popularity. There was one political analyst who said that his opening statement here in court really didn't focus on the legal issues. He already knows that, this is a judge who's on the side of Letitia James, of the ruling. What he did do during that opening statement was talk to the American people. And like I said, one analyst said that it might as well have been a speech to the Republican National Convention. But Letitia James ran her campaign when she was running for Attorney General on prosecuting Donald Trump. Even before she was Attorney General. So that's in the minds of many. She called him a con man, and Donald Trump was president back then. On the other hand, you have Donald Trump really attacking Letitia James in the state of New York. And it comes at a time when Americans are very weary and untrustful of American institutions. So again, this may seem like a civil case, but a lot is at stake.
A lot is at stake. Thank you very much. Our correspondent Susan Tehrani live in New York. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.